everyone. Thanks for joining us today on Careful List, the podcast. I am Katie Christophic, your host and founder of The Careful List. Today, we are doing something a little different. We have two guests with us on the show to talk about film that they're working on. Before we get to that, I would like to introduce you to Deanna Gerstel-Harris, who is a producer, writer, director, storyteller, and cultural change strategist, and Monica Lund, who is a producer and professional hat wearer. We can get into that in a
Of
little
course.
bit. So, to start things off, we are going to talk about your caregiving stories. So, Deanna, let's hear where your story began.
Thank you, Katie. Thank you so much for having us today. I date back 20 years now. My caregiving journey began with my son's diagnosis with autism. And that was the first of several significant chronic health diagnoses that my children would be facing over the next several years. So I had kind of an interesting flip from caregiver for several years. As we know, it's highly stressful. And then I ended up being a care recipient because my health ended up crashing several years into my caregiving journey. I was bedridden for a year in a wheelchair. I went to Stanford and Mayo Clinic, and my diagnosis was elusive for 3 years. So I have been on both sides of the caregiving coin. And now my spouse lives with lupus. So while my chronic health uh, diagnosis is in remission 95% of the time, thankfully, she lives with systemic lupus. So that's a challenge that we're navigating. We've been navigating for the last 4 years. So that is my care history. And Monica also has a very interesting care story.
I don't know how interesting it is, but I'm sure people will relate. So I, my dad was caregiving my mom for about 15 years until she passed in 2010. So I became kind of his caregiver in that I was the closest child proximity wise to him, and began to notice things. He got scammed a couple times out of a lot of money, which my dad, he highly intelligent,
Mhm.
man, knows better, but just things weren't working.
Yeah.
Uh, Several steps forward and months and months forward, and he's diagnosed with Alzheimer's. So moved him here to, he was in Houston, moved him here to Austin during the pandemic in 21. The isolation was not helping at all either.
Yeah.
I was driving over and back same day. Um, so
And for
anyway.
folks who aren't so familiar with Texas, that's not close.
No, it's 3 hour drive one way.
Yeah,
So 6 hours on the road um,
that's a lot.
each time. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it escalated as more him falling and injuring himself, but not to the extent where he was hospitalized or, wellness checks. I couldn't find him, and he had driven himself to the hospital, and he had surgery, had to have surgery to have a hernia removed because it caused a bowel obstruction. Anyway, it was just,
Oh my goodness.
just trying to find him, missing persons, I mean, it's just, wow,
Yeah.
you know, um,
There's so much involved in care for someone with dementia
mhm.
that doesn't crop up
Yeah.
in other caregiving situations.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really hard.
Yeah. So it's been an interesting journey, and but he's here. He's in assisted living. He's got his own apartment right now. He's not yet. It's a transitional care. you know, but he's living independently right now. But so he's not in memory care yet, but that might or might not be in his future. Don't know.
Right.
He could be like this till he dies, where he can't quite be on his own, you know, he can't be allowed to make any decisions.
Right. Yeah, and that's often one of the biggest flags, right? Is
Mhm.
someone who would typically never fall for some type of a scam, and suddenly you're noticing things are missing from bank accounts, or passwords are different than what you've got on record, and they're not necessarily tech savvy enough to have gone in and changed it without someone prompting them.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, that's a whole, I'm going to use the word journey because it's the nice way to say it.
Or
That
you could just say cluster. I don't know.
it
We want the other word. You know.
certainly adds to the challenge factor.
Yes, it does. It certainly
Yeah.
does.
Well, I'm sorry you're on this journey,
Hmm.
but I appreciate that you are willing to share it and talk about it. Um, and so we're going to jump around a little bit because I think what you're working on, the two of you, is something that we should talk about earlier rather than later so that everybody understands how this all came together. So, how did the two of you connect and say, gee, we have something to say?
So last year, almost to the date, last October, at Austin Film Festival, I decided last minute to attend. And by happenstance, after the conference, everyone kind of gathers in the hotel lobby lounge area. And it was at the very end of the night. Monica and Marion, our other co-producing partner, were just sitting on a couch and we just struck up a really organic conversation and just started talking about life in general and really very quickly dove into our care stories. And that was before I had even mentioned the film.
Mhm.
And so at the end of probably an hour long conversation, I mentioned that I was, in fact, doing an animated short film based off of the caregiving and climate crises. And I had no idea that Monica and Marion were in film production, and they just said we would love to read the script. And so after returning home, I sent them the script. And then I got a phone call a couple weeks later saying that they would love to come on board. I think, and Monica can speak to this, I think it was really the just organic connection, just the human connection of sharing our care stories and realizing that it's an important topic to keep front and center, especially now.
Just a few minutes around Dina, you can probably assess that she's very warm, open, caring, great listener, just really easy to talk to. So that night that we were in the lounge at the Stephen F. Austin in downtown Austin. Um, I don't know how we managed to get into a conversation with her, but Marion has had quite the care journey.
Mm.
A really hard. Uh, she is the only person left in her family now,
Oh,
um,
my word.
and Dina being who she is and what a great listener she is, Marion automatically responded to that.
Mhm.
She had watched her mom care for her dad for years. Marion herself cared for her sister who had MS.
Mhm.
Um, her dad passed in 15. Her sister passed in 17. Um, Not long after her sister passed, her mom had a stroke and wound up with vascular dementia.
Mhm.
So Marion cared for her, moved her here to Austin from Midland, Texas, to memory care, and then she passed in 23. So it's
Wow.
just been
A lot of heartache.
it's been a
Yeah.
lot of heartache, and Marion and I are very best friends. Um, I mean, I cared for her house while she was in Midland. She was in Midland for a year caring for her mom until she went, I can't. I can't do this anymore. I'm isolated
Yeah,
and I need to get back to my life and I can't care for her. She's too far along in this.
right.
And nothing else was working. You know, her
Yeah,
mom was um, not accepting outside help. You know, I mean, it's just
yeah,
anyone who's been in Alzheimer's dementia care are very familiar. Well, you don't even have to have that. It can be the Alzheimer's exacerbates it that much more, but there are plenty of people who break a leg and I don't want your help, you know, kind of thing, you
right.
know, I
Yeah,
mean,
I can do it. I'm fine.
I'm fine, you know, but
You're
okay, you're a badass,
fine.
but you need help. Can I say badass? But
Yeah.
anyway, so yeah, when I mean my ears really perked up when Dina said, you know, let's or told us about When We Care, the film, and I was really excited about it. Marion and I, when we drove home that night, were, you know, I was like, I can't wait to hear about, I'd like to really learn more about the project and everything. And
Mhm.
so, and here we are co-producing and getting on podcasts.
And Marion actually is a director as well, and Monica and Marion have a feature film under their belt, and they just filmed a proof of concept short for another feature that they're going to be producing. And
Yeah.
Marion's directing. Marion is also a screenwriter. So
Mhm.
Mhm.
they have all of their other projects, and they wanted to hop on board here because of the connection to care. So I thought that
Mhm.
was incredible.
Yeah.
Oh, it absolutely is. And, you know, you said something that really struck me because I've had the same experience when you're talking with someone and you don't know them, but somehow caregiving comes up. It comes up all the time.
Mhm.
And I think, you know, it's two sides of it, right? Number one is it is so much more prevalent than people think it is
Yeah.
because everyone can identify and understand. And it's so top of mind for people, and they don't often have the chance to be able to talk about it.
Mhm.
So at the first sign somebody is willing to listen,
Mhm.
they tell their story
Yeah.
because it can be so lonely and so isolating.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I found actually through even the rest of our creative crew, everyone has a connection to care. And it was the same response. We have an Academy Award winning animation director. She's incredible. She worked on Netflix. If Anything Happens, I Love You, and it brings attention to gun violence in schools.
Mhm.
So I loved that project and her work on that project. And so I thought, Hail Mary, like this is my midlife returning to my creative self. I love her work. I'm going to reach out on social media and tell her that I have a script that I would love for her to take a look at to see if it resonates. And she
Mhm.
got back to me and she said, I would love to read the script. And she did. And she said it brought her to tears. And she's been waiting for another project like that made her feel that way. But everyone that has come on board, when they read the script and we have a conversation, everyone has a connection to care. And
Yeah.
so it's been this really beautiful experience with this team. Um, and our composer, Zane, who's highly decorated already, was just nominated for a Grammy Award for his work with Disney. I haven't told you that yet, Monica.
That's
I was like, that looks like a real-time response.
And Lauren, one of our other animators, just had one of her personal projects for TV and another animation project that she's written just placed at Austin Film Festival. So I'm so excited because these really lovely, caring, great people are
Yeah.
putting out these amazing projects, and they're really excited about this animated short film that we're doing. So it's been amazing
Oh,
so far.
that's fantastic. And you really teed it up well. So I think everybody who's listening is now on the edge of their seat. What is this project? What are you creating?
So, it's an animated short film called When We Care, and it's centering the climate and caregiving crises and the intersection of those, because at the heart of it, You may look at it and say, what does caregiving and climate have to do with each other? But really, both of them. It's the foundational breakdown of care. And when you look at it kind of through that lens, there's this beautiful opportunity in this heavy, heavy environment right now to look at those two and how they converge. It's care. And we're all, especially as caregivers, it's in our DNA. We are equipped to make change through care, even small, actionable steps. We all have it in us to do that, and I believe it starts with caring for ourselves better, which as caregivers we need to, caring for each other and caring for the world around us. So my inspiration for writing this came in 2022. It was my first time visiting Washington, D.C. And I took a spin around the tidal basin, kind of walked around to see the cherry blossom trees. And at the very end, right before the Jefferson Memorial, I was stopped in my tracks. There was this little hollowed out. I mean, literally, the roots were disintegrated with the water washing up over them, completely hollowed out trunk, looking like it was barely clinging to life, but it was still blooming. And it brought me to tears.
Yeah.
And it really had me reflecting on, in that instance, this grief post caregiving that I was processing. And so I had this response, and I said to my spouse, "Oh my gosh, this little tree is like me. I resonate with it." So
Yeah.
6 months later, my spouse would just happen to be Googling online and found that it was somewhat of an icon. People traveled from all over to see this little tree named Stumpy.
Right. That's what
Um,
I was thinking. I was like, that sounds like Stumpy.
it was Stumpy. So over the next year, and unfortunately, a year later, we moved to DC, which we love the DC area. But they started announcing the tidal basin reconstruction project, and they announced that they were going to remove Stumpy along with many other cherry blossom trees, and not try and kind of save the tree and transplant it, or like the Smithsonian said they wanted it, but they decided against that. So everyone came. I mean, the news
Yeah.
for weeks. It was on the news, and people came from all over. I met people diagnosed with cancer, people who lost loved ones. Like, this tree was really resonating with everyone. So the tree is the story engine. Our main character is Hannah. She's a park ranger. She's in the sandwich generation, caring for her ailing mother and a aging mother and ailing daughter, at the same time as trying to save this little tree. So that is the essence of the story, and that's kind of where the inspiration came from. And my obviously it's informed by my caregiving journey.
Yeah. Oh, I cannot wait to see how that all comes together.
Yeah, we're
Just,
really
just the
excited.
visual that you painted now, I can see it and feel it, but I'm really excited about your interpretation of it.
I'm excited. And I'm even more excited because we're going to be building a social impact campaign surrounding it, really wanting to reach caregivers, and build community around it, wanting to use the film as a catalyst for conversations as far as,
Yeah.
taking care of the environment around us, taking care of caregivers. I've in this last couple months, like I've done a keynote at a national or care organization here, and dealing with the cuts with Medicaid, and really trying to keep this front and center now more than ever.
Yeah. Well, and we are, I think as we're recording this, it's early October, right around the anniversary of Hurricane Helen or Helene, the one that we had last year.
Mhm.
And as you're talking, I'm thinking about what you're saying, and I'm thinking about what happened last year and the number of people who are in vulnerable positions as climate change continues to grow and impact people. Um, Folks who can't easily evacuate.
Right.
What are they going to do? What is the plan? And there aren't that many conversations that are bringing those two things together. So I love that you're doing this because I think this is a springboard for so many conversations and decisions and policy that needs to take place.
Well,
Mhm.
saw that with the fires in Los Angeles as well. I mean,
Yes.
the most affected that were are the vulnerable who are bedbound, and it's it's an issue. And as climate change kind of keeps escalating, it's we're not headed in a great direction with it. And I think my concern personally, and I think collectively, is we're seeing our country kind of doing this and
Yeah.
being very polarized. And so my heart in it, and there's different iterations of this in my mind, kind of with starting with the film, not ending with the film, are to keep these conversations going
Yeah.
and building community around it and trying to close that gap and get back to a place where we're caring for one another again more than we are distancing.
Mhm.
Yeah, absolutely. This is the essence of humanity.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so, I mean, if anything can close that gap, I would think it's this.
Well, in art in general, and I've always felt this way, is the most powerful medium to reach people. It reaches people through your television sets, through your movie screens, through your radios. Like there's just this universal language and connection when it comes to art and creativity. And so that was, I thought it was just a perfect opportunity to kind of really infuse art and activism or generating community and a movement
Mm.
surrounding it.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think the timing of this is so right because caregiving is coming more and more to the forefront. The more people who talk about it, the more people feel empowered to share their own story. And so I think, you're on this wave of that groundswell, if I can keep the imagery going. Um, that yeah, I think this will be the catalyst that you certainly hope and I hope will be.
Well, and that's the other component of this is we're going to be launching our YouTube and our TikTok and really gathering care stories and and we're having virtual events and gathering caregivers in. I'm also a holistic health practitioner. That's kind of I went from my son has an interesting journey, and the arts have kind of been a thread through our entire care journey. Before
Mhm.
he had language, he had music, he had perfect pitch. And after several years of lots and lots of different interventions, his journey ended up, he originated a role on Broadway. So his story was nothing short of miraculous, but there was this through line of the arts, whether it was outside painting and easels and dance parties in the living room, dance lessons and performances, singing, like that kind of buoyed us through our caregiving journey.
Yeah.
And now in midlife, I was a former dancer. Um, I'm revisiting kind of this creative part of myself and weaving it into. I had training. I went and kind of got certified with functional medicine, the tenets of functional medicine, and helping and counseling women and caregivers and families who live with chronic illness on health and wellness and resilience. I've done that over the years, but really infusing this creativity piece into it because when we embody our care stories and come together in community surrounding that, it's so powerful and it's so freeing. And I think what I found I lost in my caregiving journey was myself to a certain degree. And
Yes.
so having another identity, and that was kind of the same thing for my son and with having autism, because much like dementia or these other huge diagnoses, autism's all encompassing. And so the arts gave him an alternate identity. And so that's kind of the direction that my life is taking at this point. And so I've alchemized all of this into this When We Care project. And I want to offer that to other caregivers as well.
Yeah. Well, and you said something so important. And this is one of the questions that I ask on every show. And I think I've probably thrown everybody off because I usually ask it earlier rather than later. But hey, stay on your toes. One of the things that's so important is finding joy and finding humor not everything's funny, not everything's joyous, but finding those little glimmers of light and being able to hold on to that when you're walking through the darkest part of the tunnel.
Yeah.
And the arts, for many people, are a huge component of that, whether you throw on your favorite record, you read a book that you love, you sit down and you color or you draw. I said color because I cannot draw. um, whatever it is you do, there's usually some sort of creative component to it.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Um, so, with that in mind, obviously the arts are joyous for you and your family, Dina. Monica, how in your journey with your dad have you been able to harvest those little glimmers? It's
Well, I
hard
mean,
in dementia.
yeah. Um, well, back in I don't know, 2018, I guess. The the feature that Marion and I produced back in, well, we were developing it for several years, starting around 2018. I had sent it to Marion while she was in Midland and said, "You have to read this script. You have to." And she was so immersed in that dark place of caregiving her mom,
Mhm.
um, that it was hard for her. You know, she talks a lot about, and she would tell you if she was here about how she lost herself
Yeah.
in that year. That the person that she was didn't exist anymore. Was
Mhm.
and but I kept telling her, you have to read the script. It's a script that I've read many years for Austin Film Festival screenplay competition. And it was a script I read back in 2008 that wound up winning the comedy award that year. And I had reached out to the writer to find out if it was available. Mary and I were very loosely trying to put a slate of scripts together to
Mhm.
develop for production. And it was available, so sent it to Marion. She took forever to read it, which was
Welcome to
fun. I
caregiving.
mean, where she was, but I kept telling her, you're going to love it. It's going to be something like what you would write.
Mm.
She finally read it. Funny enough, on one of her trips here to Austin, leaving her mom in Midland with other caregivers, with friends. Um, and and she's like, "Yep, you're right. We optioned it. We wound up making it during the pandemic, which is, I mean, it didn't get made until the end of 21. Um, but I think it saved us both in so many ways because, not only was it the caregiving aspect, but that was the beginning. 2020 was when things really started happening with my dad.
Yeah.
Um, Being able to um, put my energy into creating something that I believed in. And the
Mhm.
script is so fun. I mean, the writer, Betsy, she's so smart, so clever. She's a great comedic writer.
Mhm.
Um, that it was just, it was something that wasn't the everyday it was something that was
Right.
not what Marion or I were dealing with on a day-to-day basis. So,
Yes.
I mean, the pandemic really just threw a big old ugly wrench into things and made it that much more difficult. But
Yeah.
I mean, we persevered. It was like people need this. It's comedy, and it's fun and
Right.
and it wound up being a really good movie. I'm really proud of us and I'm proud of what we accomplished, and it's out in the world for people to consume at as much or as little as they want. I have a friend who she puts it on, she has it on almost every day.
Wow.
I love this movie and it's just so easy and it's entertaining, and she's caregiving her dad.
Yeah.
So it's just, I mean,
Well, and you just touched on something really important. Online, you see people making comments about what's your comfort show? What's your comfort movie? What do you
mhm,
go to? And there is science behind
mhm.
people wanting to watch something they have seen because it's predictable. They know what's going to happen. It helps them to reset their system and just calm down for a bit. So, yeah, something funny is great. Oh, I do it. I yeah, I
All the
have
time.
a list. And I'll let you in on a terribly kept secret. This podcast is called Careful List the podcast, and it's my homage to Mel Brooks and his jokes throughout Spaceballs with Spaceballs the coaster, Spaceballs the lunchbox. Um, because humor is what got my sister and I through our caregiving journey.
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, his movies are definitely on my rewatch when I need something easy list.
I got to put that on my list now. Like, yeah. So, yeah.
Wow. Well, thank you for sharing that because it is really, really hard to find
Mhm.
joy and humor when things are tough. And that story is also fabulous in terms of persistence and resilience because you said you first saw that script in 2008 and the writer kept submitting it over a 10-year period. And then it got made during a pandemic.
Yeah.
They should create some sort of new award for her.
Right. Truly, truly, truly. She's yeah. It had actually just when I approached her about when I asked her, I said, is the script under option or anything? And she said it just fell out of option, which, in the movie making world, if it's optioned, that means it's not available. Someone else is
Right.
trying to make it. And so anyway, I mean, it was just kismet, that
Yeah. Yeah. Well, yeah, the script needed the right people at the right time.
and we
Sort
definitely
of
were
like a
the
love
right
story,
people.
really.
Yep.
All about timing.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. So, oh, and the
Wow.
movies Match Me If You Can, if anybody wants to see it. It really is very fun. Lots
Oh,
of
fantastic.
geek, lots of geek references and, just
Okay,
uh,
so where can I find it? Because now I have to see this movie.
you can see it on all the digital.
Dreamers.
It's not on Netflix, but it's on, Google
Like,
Play, iTunes
okay,
Prime, you know.
cool. Oh,
I
that's fabulous.
Tubi maybe too. I
Yeah.
don't remember, but
Okay,
um,
cool. Well, we will look it up.
Brazil just picked it up.
Oh, that's
Anyway,
so exciting.
yeah, yeah. It's
Oh,
really it's really fun. It's very easy on your psyche.
yes. Oh, that's so important,
Hmm.
especially these
Especially
days.
right now. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So let's circle back around to, oh, I just used a corporate jargon thing that I hate, but whatever. I actually meant it and not in the ironic way. I was thinking tidal basin and well, anyway, you don't need to get into my train of thought. 'Cause it's lots of trains, not so many tracks, and all the conductors are screaming. But
Analogy.
when we care is the film that's being made. It's an animated short. What is the project timeline? When can we expect it to launch and all of that good stuff?
Yeah, so we are wrapping up storyboarding right now and just had a 3 hour editing session this week. We I believe in 6 weeks we'll have an animatic, which means all of the storyboards will be moving together in somewhat of a cohesive movie film style. This is my first time doing animation, so I'm very fortunate that we have an incredible editor. and our animation director. So they have kind of been 3 steps ahead telling me what's next. And the process has been fascinating. So yeah, so we will have an animatic. We are I will be going into more fundraising because animation is not cheap.
No, anybody who sat through the end credits of any animated film, you see the pages and pages and pages of animators.
And they're
Very,
stacked. It's like three
Yes,
columns
yeah.
this
right.
long.
Well, that's what I was just thinking.
Yeah.
It's a
So
massive undertaking.
it is. And so in an independent film kind of framework, you're working bare bones.
Mhm.
Um, but it's very expensive. So we have our initial seed startup, and that will get us through our animatic, and then we will need to raise money for the actual animation and the original score because it is without dialogue. It's just going to be beautiful music created by Zane. Um,
Mhm.
and so we will be doing a crowdfunding campaign. And we're also looking to bring on possibly another producer to help with fundraising and distribution and the other aspects of production. So hopefully, all goes well in raising more funds. We will be looking at probably the fall.
Okay, of 2026.
Yes.
Wow, that is so exciting.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. So for people who are interested in twofold, people who are interested in helping you get this picture made, how can they contact you?
So also we have fiscal sponsorship, which means every donation is tax deductible. So that's wonderful at the end of the year to be able to offer. So we have a website, whenwecarefilm.com. So you can sign up there. We are also on social media. I don't know if you'll have any of our
Yep.
handles. Yeah, so you can reach out to me over social media. You can send an email to whenwecarefilm@gmail.com. There's also some caregiving summits coming up that I will be at. So if anyone happens to be in Washington, D.C. or New York City for Caring Across Generations and the National Caregiving Alliance here in D.C., I will be there. So please come up and introduce yourself. My hope is to meet as many caregivers as I can. Um, to kind of build around this film and build our community and get that conversation front and center and I just really, as Monica told you, I love to connect with
Mhm.
people. I love people. I love hearing about their stories. So yes, so those are the ways that you can reach us and reach out to me anytime. We will be gathering some care stories. I'm anticipating probably late spring to launch the caregiving stories and the YouTube channel, and all of that will be evolving. So I definitely would love to connect with people.
Okay. And that was the second half of my question. I know you're going to be doing the YouTube channel and the other things. Are your social channels the best way for people to keep up with when those things are launching and what's happening?
So there's a form on our website, whenwecarefilm.com, that you can sign up to get updates. We're going to be, we're doing all the behind the scenes filming and with the crowdfunding campaign, we're actually offering for different levels, tiered donations. We have different fun, interactive, I don't even know what you would call them. I guess incentives, events that if you donate a certain amount, we're going to be having some virtual events and virtual events with the animators. And
Oh, cool.
yeah, so yes, so I am anticipating the crowdfunding campaign will be in November.
Okay. Wow.
Very good.
Thank you so much for sharing your stories today and your talents for this broader project that I truly believe is going to make a huge impact on the conversation in this country. It is really exciting to watch it come together, and I cannot wait to see what kind of a springboard creates because I really think it will. Is there anything else you want to share about project or caregiving and climate? Any other messages you want to share before we end our conversation today?
First, I just want to thank you, Katie, for everything that
Oh,
you do and giving a platform and a voice and holding space for all of these different conversations to take place. I truly believe that this is a grassroots movement and it's all of us. And I, even in my professional work as a holistic health practitioner, I'm a guide, but I'm on the journey right along with you. And so it's really about people coming together and it's about the focus of humanity and caring for one another. And so when I say reach out, please. It's really it, we're all so isolated and it's such a heavy environment right now and there's so much strength in connection and numbers and so yeah, it's really the movement surrounding this. I'm really excited about this film. I think it's going to be a beautiful offering because I have such talented and just such lovely, caring, just big-hearted people working on it. But the movement and the connection and the community surrounding it is I think even more so than the film, the beautiful part of this. So thank you, Katie, for doing your part in that and having us on here to be able to talk about what we're doing.
oh, well, it's my honor and my pleasure. I'm so grateful to have been able to connect with both of you.
Right.
And for everyone who is listening at home or walking your dog or wherever you are today, thank you for joining us. You can always find more information on our site, carefulist.com, and we will see you right back here next time. Take care.